Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out here. What a great show. I really appreciate being able to speak with you guys today about making an impact in your community, making an impact on your business, and finding out ways to get your customers to promote you on social media. To give you a little bit of background, let's see if this is working. Sorry, one moment. To give you guys a little bit of background on myself, my name is Andrew Glantz. I'm the founder and CEO of Gift Meal. We're a performance food service one-source vendor partner. With Gift Meal, I founded it as a blend of marketing and giving back for restaurants back when I was in college in 2015. I found that I was looking to support businesses that give back, and so were my peers. And with restaurants, there were a lot of financially based incentives like coupons and discounts, but there wasn't really much that was building that emotional connection between the customer, the restaurant, and their community. And this is something that's particularly important. So there's a couple consumer culture reports done on Gen Zers and millennials that found that they're looking to support those businesses that give back. They're more likely to recommend those businesses to their friends. They're willing to pay higher prices at businesses that give back, and they're more likely to be a loyal customer if they know that it's going to support a good cause as well. And this is also something that's important for staff. So there was a study found in the Marketing Journal that when staff were aware of a business's social responsibility programs, that they felt more engaged, more connected to the brand, and they were actually more productive. And this just makes sense because restaurants are, by their very nature, ingrained in the communities that they serve. You're hiring people from your community, you're serving customers that are in your community, and with the community support is really how you're able to do everything that you're able to do. And so finding that type of connection is something that can be really beneficial in terms of motivating all these different stakeholders in your business. And not only is this something that makes people feel connected, but it can also lead to more organic social media promotion. There was a study that was done in the hotel industry, but I think it's still applicable to restaurants. They compared the tweets that were done about a hotel's social responsibility programs that were done by the hotel itself versus tweets that were done by the customers of the hotel. And they found that there was a lot more authenticity and trust generated by the tweets about the hotel social responsibility by the customers versus by the hotel brands themselves. And so it's kind of the saying of don't float your own boat, but let your customers do it for you. And so making sure that the social responsibility programs are visible, engaging, and then they're giving that shareability aspect so that customers can be pushing out all the good things that you're doing to the community is something that can lead to a much higher level of impact. And not only is it done on social media, but the best way for restaurants to get new customers historically is just good old word of mouth recommendations. And engaging in social responsibility, or CSR, corporate social responsibility, is a great way to get customers to push out that word about your restaurant. And in this study, it was something that was interesting in a published article in Business Society, that even when there were highly attractive competitors nearby the brands, that by the brand being able to engage in social responsibility, that made them stick out from their competitors. So if there's a lot of other restaurants that are in a similar category on the block, this is something that can help you stand out if you find an effective way to give back. So here's a bunch of different examples that I put together of different ways that you can actually look to give back in your community. So kind of the most standard one is doing different benefit nights for causes. So this can be done in a couple of ways. Either where you're giving a percentage of proceeds back from a given night to a certain cause, or people that mention the cause, you're going to be giving back a percentage of proceeds. And with this, you can really look to implement benefit nights on low traffic nights. So those Tuesday night, Wednesday nights, when you're not going to be getting as much business, you can partner up with a local cause, whether it's a school or a food bank or any other type of business that you could look in order to associate your, and it'll actually drive the customers to your brand in order to support your restaurant. You can also get your name out there by sponsoring local charitable events, local schools, and find all the other ways in order to show that your brand is out there in the community. There's also a lot of customers that care about sustainability initiatives. So trying to find the ways, whether it's in terms of your packaging and to-go containers, or other ways, whether you're and using straws and different types of packaging, about how you can be best supporting green initiatives, and then showcasing that to customers so they're aware of the impacts that you're doing in terms of sustainability. Employee volunteer days are a great way to get employees out in the community, both to feel good about themselves and feel like you're caring about having their time to support their community, but then also for there being a representation of your brand in order to have people in the community know that your staff care about the community and you as a business owner are funding them being out there. An easy add-on is having a bin where you could do toy drive, food drive, book drive collections, where it could be for local schools or food banks or libraries. And that's something that where you can just easily collect these items. You can even do something where it's like for every time that somebody donates for every book, you give them a coupon or a free appetizer or something like that to incentivize people to come to the restaurant. Then there's the more monetary donation side of things. So roundups for a cause have been popular, where at the payment, the customer can round up their bill in order to support a given cause that the restaurant is deemed as important for their community. You could also do an added line on the check for a donation. And if the customer chooses to donate, then you can give them a bounce back coupon. So basically a coupon that they can't use for that visit, but that they could use for a future visit. So you're incentivizing the customer to donate, and you're saying, hey, we're in this together. I understand you're making this great impact for this cause that we've deemed important, and now we're going to be giving you something in return in terms of a coupon for a future visit. So that's something that's been really effective in terms of driving that return traffic. You can also match those customer donations if you want to go one step further in order to double the money that you're raising for a cause and have customers really feel like you're in it with them in terms of the donations. If there's also a specific menu item you want to order, you can do a donation for each time that menu item's ordered. In my hometown of St. Louis, there's an event called Tomato Explosion, where restaurants choose a tomato-related item on the menu for the month of July, and they feature that item on their menu, and every time it's ordered, then they're donating a portion of the proceeds of that item to support a given cause. So items, campaigns like that can be really effective. You could also donate actual food itself. You can even do things like supporting local artists by displaying their art in our stores. These are just a handful of different ways that you can look to give back. When you're evaluating all of these different ways that you could be engaging in your community, you know that you're busy and you're trying to filter through all these different equally amazing causes. And so when you're evaluating the mindset of which causes to pick up and which programs to use, this is kind of a simple model that I would use in order to evaluate things. So first is authenticity. So making sure that whatever the social causes that you're choosing and the way that you're participating in that cause is authentic and genuine, because customers can sift through something if it's inauthentic. So making sure you know the ins and outs of whatever you're doing, you know the cause, you know the organization that's being supported, and it's done right in terms of the messaging and communication of the program. The second is branding. If you're looking at a way to have profit and purpose be consistent goals, you want to make sure that the causes that you're choosing are important to your restaurant for a reason, and they're important to your customers. So what's a cause that's meaningful and relevant to you? Is it a cause that's because of some disease that a family member of the owners of the restaurant has faced? And so that's the cause that you're choosing to rally around. Was there a natural disaster in your city and you're looking to support that local community? Are you looking to do something in the food realm because you're serving food to people in need? And so you want to be able to give back to those that are less fortunate at local food banks. So making sure that there's that branding fit is something that's really important in terms of making sure it resonates with their customers. And lastly is consistency. It's great to do a bunch of different one-off give back programs, but making sure that there's consistent messaging around those programs and you're having that same message hit customers over and over will increase the visibility of your programs and make that messaging resonate with customers. Because when they're thinking about places to eat, you want them to associate your restaurant with those give back programs so you get all those benefits that I talked about earlier in terms of differentiating yourselves from your competitors. So they don't think about it as just a one-off give back night that you're doing. They think of your brand as the socially conscious brand that cares about its local community. In terms of getting customer buy-in into their program, and you're looking to try to make the most out of these, I can break it down to kind of 4 key areas. First is making sure whatever you're doing is easily understandable for the customer. So not having overly complicated campaigns is something that's really important. So they know what impact is being made, how much is being donated, and how they can participate in the program. And making it easy for them is important because you don't want to detract from your customer experience. You spend a lot of time crafting a great atmosphere and training staff. And so you want social responsibility to be something additive, not something detractive from the customer experience. So whatever you're asking customers to do, make sure it's really simple for them to add it into their customer experience. Third is making it impactful. So again, choosing that relevant cause and making sure that it's measurable in a way for the impact so that the customer feels like there's actually something being generated and it's not just a small impact that's just going to a big pool of money, but that they truly feel what they're doing for their community. You could also do things in terms of leaderboards. You could show the total impact that your restaurant has generated so customers feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves and that your restaurant is in it together and that they feel like they're part of the community of customers at the restaurant. And lastly is that shareability factor. So encouraging customers to share out their social responsibility on social media and finding those different pathways, whether you're incentivizing them in terms of like a coupon if they're sharing out on social media, or just trying to make it as easy as possible and giving them a simple call to action in order to encourage more people to join the give back effort. Because the customers, when they share out on social, as I mentioned earlier, those are the most trusted word of mouth recommendations that can be out there, and that will lead to more customers coming in to your restaurant as well. In terms of looking at how to leverage social media, there's a few different ways that you can really take your social responsibility to the next level. The first is in creating that type of engaging content that's relevant to your cause. So really pushing it out there that you're looking to make this effort in a genuine way is something that can really attract those customers and bring them in. Then, once you've actually started up these social responsibility programs, you can share success stories and what the actual impact is. So if you're collecting cans in a food drive, then you can talk to the local food bank and share impact stories of the people that have actually been helped by the cause. If it's something we're supporting the libraries, then you can ask them, okay, how many books were we able to donate or something like that, and what's that impact on kids? You can share those stories. You could also look to encourage user-generated content. So photos and videos that are taken by your customers, encourage them to put it out, and then reshare that content on social media. So with that last example that I was saying with like a donation bin, you can have customers take a selfie when they're dropping the canned food item in the bin, and you can have a sign about your restaurant behind it and encourage them to share it out on social media as well. When you're choosing about your posting on social media, you can utilize multiple different social media channels in unique ways that they have strategic benefits for each platform. For TikTok and Instagram, you can reach a younger demographic, and you can do visual storytelling. With TikTok especially, you can lean heavily into video. And you can also look at that level of community engagement that you might not get as much on other platforms as Facebook. But Facebook, a lot of customers are still going to when they're looking up the restaurants as well. And so having content there can help you reach a broad audience. And if you're doing any type of events like the benefit nights, then Facebook events attached to your page on social media can be a great way to push it out there and make it easily shareable for friends. And it's something you can set up in just a couple of minutes. For X/Twitter, it's a really great way to share those real-time updates. So if you're looking at sharing out, hey, we're trying to reach $500 in donations through our Roundup campaign. And right now we're at $402. If you help us reach $500, then we're going to match that and donate another $500 to the cause. You can share out those real-time updates on your social media platforms like Twitter/X, and that could be the way that you're encouraging customers to be that incremental visit in order to push you over the top to reach your social responsibility goals. In terms of measuring the return on investment for these programs, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. But things that you could use in order to evaluate them are surveys, word of mouth, and data. Starting on surveys, if you do surveys of your customers, you can keep it nice and short and sweet, not too many questions so it's not your trash or something easy for them to fill out. But you can try to calculate a net promoter score. You could do that by asking customers the question, how likely would you be to recommend our restaurant to a friend on a scale of 1 to 10? And that's historically been the most statistically significant result of measuring consumer behavior in terms of how likely they are themselves to return to your restaurant. Because if they're likely to recommend your restaurant to a friend, then they themselves are satisfied with the experience. So if you're asking them how likely they are to recommend the restaurant, and you also ask them in the same survey whether they have knowledge of the social impact program that you're doing, you can then segment the results to the customers that said they had knowledge of the social impact program versus ones that said they didn't, and look at the net promoter scores for those two different groups. So on average, was it a 8 out of 10 for the people that had no knowledge of the social programs, and a 9.2 out of 10 for the customers that had knowledge of the social programs. And then you can figure out, okay, the social impact programs maybe had an impact on them there. You could also look to do a before and after analysis. So do surveys of your customers before you implement these types of programs and afterwards. And then you can have kind of the like-minded audience of all your customers and see if there's been a change in behavior from before and after for those customers. If possible, you can even do it for the same customers. So if you collect the email of the customer on that survey, you can email those customers 6 months later after you've implemented the social responsibility programs, and you can ask them the same questions and compare their response to what they said 6 months before in order to see if there's been a change. You can also just do customer sentiment scoring, which is basically just how satisfied are you with the restaurant. You can also ask things about these different confounding variables like how satisfied are you with the food, and staff performance, and atmosphere in order to measure all of those variables as well. Word of mouth is something that's really hard to measure. But you can look at social media mentions, especially if you're asking customers to tag you about the social media campaigns that you're doing. But then also something that you can do to go one step further is take all the good that you're doing in social responsibility, draft it up into a couple paragraph press release, and send it out to local media. And that's something that I found to be really effective, especially if you actually draft out a one-page article for them in the third person, put a quote from yourself in there, so that the media can literally copy and paste the article that you effectively wrote. You can find their emails on their websites and everything, send it to the local media, and a lot of times they'll just copy and paste it. And even for TV and radio, it makes it really easy for them to envision what the story is to have you on there. And you get free earned media publicity about all the good that you're doing in the community. And then you can utilize that content to post on your social media as well, and really push out the good. And then the best form of measuring is data. But it depends on kind of what data you have access to in order to see how you can take advantage of it. So one example that I mentioned earlier was measuring the increasing levels of social engagement around the content that you're posting out about the social responsibility programs. Even better would be if you could actually sync this up to purchasing data. So for instance, if you're doing a donation campaign where customers can donate on their check or they can round up, if you have a way in your point of sale system to segment that data of all the customers that did the roundup or they had a donation and compare their average check sizes to the customers that didn't, look at the visit frequency of those customers, then that can be something that's really powerful as well. So as much as possible, as you can go onto POS and purchasing data can help you measure the ROI. Now I'll give you the example through kind of my lens, and I'll give you kind of the behind the scenes insights with my startup with Gift Meal and how I've looked to incorporate these tenets into our program. So with Gift Meal, it's a program where each time a guest visits a partner restaurant, they can scan a QR code, take a photo of their favorite drink or even a selfie, and when they do that, we make a donation to a local food bank near that store to help provide a meal to someone in need in your community. So one photo is one meal, and then we incentivize that guest to share their photo on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter/X. And for each platform they share on, we donate another meal through a local food bank. It's totally free for the guest and funded by a $59 a month program fee paid by the restaurant. And so the guest is attributing all this positive feel-good energy to the restaurant. And they feel that sense of gratitude and that sense of emotional connection to the brand. In terms of how we partner up with local food banks, we choose food banks all over the country. We're currently donating to 97 different food banks. And we match each restaurant location to a food bank that services the county that the restaurant's in. The food banks get food donated to them by places like Performance Foodservice, by supermarkets, by community food drives. And then where Gift Meal comes in is we donate money to them on the first of every month based on the number of photos taken at the restaurant to cover their cost of distributing that food to hundreds of neighborhood pantries where those in need can access it. So again, stepping back and looking at the lens of social responsibility for the restaurant, we're looking to try to make it easy for the restaurant with no logistics required, shareable for the customer, and a connection in terms of the local community. For these local food banks, on their donation page of their website, they typically have a meal metric. Their cost to distribute meals to local pantries. So typically it's about 4 meals per dollar donated, or about 25 cents per meal. So a big impact on a low cost when they distribute food in bulk. And in terms of measuring that ROI, we've been able to see some really cool results. Again, this is if you can get access to this type of data on the POS side of things, then you can find some really cool findings for social responsibility, whether it's Gift a Meal or any other program. So we found that on average, guests using Gift a Meal are returning 39% more frequently. They're spending 20% more per visit, and they're tipping 32% more. The way that we were able to find this is some of our partner restaurants give us access to their point of sale data. We matched the name of the credit card to the name of the Gift a Meal user, segmented the data to customers that use Gift a Meal and ones that didn't, and then we can compare these types of data. And so if you can get access to that data in your point of sale system, then that's going to be something really powerful. So when you're looking at your point of sale system, if you can collect that name off your credit card, then that's something you can then match up to the surveys that you're doing or to any other programs to see which customers are actually participating and see if there's any trends like these. And with Gift a Meal, it's all about doing well while doing good. And so we've been able to see we're making this impact while also providing over 1.6 million meals to families in need in the community. And so restaurants can be sharing that out on social, about their social impact, be making a true, meaningful, and relevant social impact, while also measuring the business return as well. I'll give a little bit of a case study of a performance food service client restaurant. They were actually the first performance food service restaurant to join Gift a Meal through the One Source program with Tally's Tap and Eatery. So they joined about a year ago when we first partnered up with Performance Food Service. And they've provided over 1,000 meals to families in need in their community since joining the program. So that's over 1,200 pounds of food distributed to these local food banks because of their customers taking photos. And they generated over 25,000 organic, positive social media impressions from their customers. And what's really cool is that it's all strictly positive. There's no ratings or reviews. It's only spreading the good, positive word about the restaurant. So these are a handful of the photos that we shared. And so customers saying things in the captions, like we like to give back to the community and eat local to support local businesses. So aligning yourself with the cause can align yourself with those customers that care about supporting their local communities. And so it's really fun, even seeing people take selfies with drinks and food and friends and, just pushing that out. It's their community as well. If you guys are interested in learning more about Gift a Meal or have any questions later on, we're at booth 12 right over there. You can also scan the QR code or go to giftammeal.com/PFS. We have a discounted rate available for performance food service restaurants through the One Source program. I'm happy to talk with you guys about that. But I'll pause now and I'll open it up to any questions you guys have. It doesn't have to be about Gift a Meal. I'm obligated to bring it up here. But I would love to talk with you guys anything social media, reaching Gen Z or millennials, social impact programs, any questions that you guys have. So thank you. Anybody have any questions? Any questions? All right, well, I'll stay up here afterwards. If you guys have any questions and you're shy and you just didn't want to ask in front of the group, come up to me and chat afterwards. Thank you all for coming and enjoy the rest of the show.